Hi, everyone. Welcome in. Feel free to drop a hello in the chat, or we always love to hear where everyone's located. So feel free to drop where you're calling in from. Maria and I are actually calling in from our office located in San Francisco. So yeah, would love to hear from everyone. Welcome, Carmen. Awesome. Feel free to drop in something in the chat, make sure it's working for your end. We also have Meg on the call as well. She's calling in from Salt Lake City. But yeah, excited to share more. Welcome, Brian. Hi, Roslyn. Antoinette, welcome. Awesome. Well, I will go ahead and kick us off here with introductions. My name's Allison. I'm with the customer success team here at Scribe. Really excited to share a little bit more about some fun functionality we have to kind of help you reduce risk as well as kind of up your game with Scribe. But happy to pass it to Maria.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maria, and as Allison mentioned, we're calling in from our San Francisco office today. I'm part of the customer success team, and I'm just very excited to go over a couple of features with you all.
Awesome. And then we'll also have Meg on the call just to help assist with the chat as well as a Q&A section. So if you do have any questions that pop up or reactions even, we love to hear from you. So don't hesitate to drop anything in either the chat as well as the little Q&A box. We're happy to help. But to get us started here, I'm going to launch a couple of polls just to make sure we're tailoring the call the right way to you guys. So helps us for our end also, as this is a newer motion, just to try to gauge the audience a little bit better. So feel free to go ahead and fill that out. Looks like we have a little bit of a mix, some power users, some who are a little bit new. Either way, this will all be very helpful today. So I'll go ahead and end that. And then one last one, I promise. We'll go ahead and do a speed preference. So feel free to drop your cruising speed. Maybe you have a meeting right after this, or maybe you just want a nice leisurely stroll. So feel free to fill that out. Awesome. Cool. Great. Well, I will go ahead and end that. Appreciate you all filling that out, and I will go ahead and share my screen. So to go ahead and get us started here, we'll just do a quick little slideshow with an overview, but we just recently started this newer webinar motion. We have our Scribe Spotlight series, which are on today. We have a weekly webinar every Wednesday, and the topic actually changes. So it's always something new and fresh. But we also, for those people who are a little bit newer, or maybe you're just looking for a refresh on Scribe, we also have our Scribe 101 Getting Started webinar, which will kind of just go over the foundations of Scribe, how to capture, how to edit, as well as how to share content. So feel free, if you're a power user and you feel like maybe you have some other creators that are maybe a little slow to getting used to Scribe, feel free to drop that to them as well. Maybe Maria, would be helpful if you can drop in the chat the registration page as well. Awesome. And a quick agenda, we'll just go over why minimizing risk really matters, as well as head into some demos with some relevant functionality. And then we'll try to point out some best practices and use cases along the way. Additionally, we'll leave some time at the end for some resources, as well as time for you to ask your questions. But again, feel free to shout them out throughout the entire call. I know we have some newer folks on here today, but just to kind of share what our main goal here is at Scribe is we're really trying to help automatically document and scale how your team's work gets done. And I feel like everyone knows us and comes in as, oh, we're going to help you document faster. But there's also a couple other ways we excel, such as helping your team find their answers more easily, as in maybe some less taps on the shoulder. People can start to answer their own questions. And then people also start to notice once they implement Scribe, consistency really starts to drive up over the course of time. There's fewer mistakes once they have this knowledge base kind of ready to go. Awesome. Well, I will go ahead and start us off with some things from the creator standpoint. So just to show you as a creator how you can kind of minimize risk. The nice thing is we recently came out with our workflow AI, and this is available to all of our enterprise plans. So I want to shout this out. This is a completed scribe I have done. Looks pretty normal. However, I might be wondering, maybe I'm doing this not as efficient as I could be. I could toggle on over to this improve workflow with AI. So this little magic button, if I click into it, you see this little sidebar start to pop out. And as as you can see off the bat, I get a little efficiency score based on this document. So right now I'm at 2 out of 5, but I can also see some suggestions as well as a little bit more context into how I can kind of up my game with Scribe and capturing. So it's going to give me those suggestions as well as kind of give some tabs on why this is important. And then I can either save these for later. So maybe say, oh, okay, I could do a direct profile URL bookmark for quick access. Maybe that's not something I want to do right now and I want to kind of push off to next week. I can save this and it's going to go on over to my saved portion. So maybe I come back to this document a week later. I can click into this and go into my saved. So this is really nice just to kind of keep track of what's been done, as well as I can also mark these as complete. So maybe I save all these for next week. I can kind of keep track of what's been done, as well as maybe some things I need to do. And then I also want to shout out that we can actually show you how to do that. So for example, say I want to click into that one that I did, and it's gonna come up with a show me how. So it's gonna give me a quick overview on what this looks like, what does it mean, and then it's gonna kind of go into a step-by-step. So it's gonna actually show me what I can do to get this work complete, and then why this matters, and then if there's any additional resources, they will plug that here. So this is something that's really nice, and obviously you can also copy this for later, but it's a great resource if maybe you're getting used to a newer tool or functionality that maybe your team or company just released and you're newer to it. It can also maybe recognize and identify some areas in which you can boost up that efficiency score. So wanted to shout that out. This is really helpful, and I would recommend, even if it's something that you can't do right away, it could be something that could be saved for later. So feel free to always put these in the saved portion. And again, if there's any questions that pop up regarding this, we have plenty of individuals who are able to assist with questions. So now that we kind of went over how you can kind of up your game with the documentation and making it a little bit more efficient, in terms of sharing this content, I know documentation is great and important. Everyone has a little bit different of a use case. I do want to shout out, sometimes people aren't as familiar with all of our sharing functionality. So oftentimes I'll hear people are strictly exporting to PDF, but we actually like to try to tell people that we prefer people to use maybe a more dynamic way to share. So exporting, if that is your go-to, that's totally fine. But sometimes people realize, oh, it can get a little bit manual. Maybe I'm making a lot of changes to this document, or maybe things are getting outdated fast. And then I have to re-export each time. I feel like also as a creator, you run the risk of maybe someone following an outdated export or PDF or whatever it may be. So if you're wondering, how can I maybe reduce the risk of people getting outdated information and have everything up to date right at their fingertips, we have two different options. We have this sharing. So if I wanted to, I can add in an email to share, which I'm sure you all are a little bit familiar with, but I can also go in here and change the viewing access. So say maybe I invited Maria and I only wanted her to be able to view this document. I can do that, or I can give her edit access. But on the same page, I have the ability to share as a link. So again, with that use case, it might be different depending on how you share your plan. I know some individuals have viewer licenses. So if you do have a viewer license, this might look a little bit differently for you. But if you're on our base, for example, and only have creators, and you're trying to share with individuals who may not have access to a Scribe license, you can always utilize the anyone with the link can view, which is the same security essentially as a PDF export. but I can get a little bit more granular in who I want to share this with these share settings. So I can also toggle this to not shared. So if you want to keep your document private, you can do that. You can also at a team level say, hey, I want to just only keep this within my team and those who have access to my team environment on Scribe. And then overall, if you're on an enterprise plan where you have multiple workspaces and a huge threshold you can share with your entire organization, as well as anyone with that link in view, as I mentioned. So anyone with the link in view is really nice if you have maybe an external use case, maybe you want this on your website, whatever it may be, that is an option. But you can copy this link, and the nice thing with copying a link is it's always going to roll out the most up-to-date information. So that is a strong recommendation from our end, but the nice thing is we also have these viewing modes. So you might run into, maybe you want to adjust to someone's learning preference, or just depending on what the content that you're creating in your use case, you might want to adjust this viewing mode. To do this, I would click this drop-down button, and the scroll is our default, but we also have our movie mode, which I feel like a lot of people overlook. So this is essentially a way to adjust to a video functionality. I know we get questions on that a lot, but essentially what the movie mode is it's a sizzle reel, and it's gonna put an AI voice over the steps, the text steps, and read it out loud. So I'll show you what this looks like in a bit, but we also have that slides functionality, kind of similar to like a PowerPoint or Google Slides. The next way you can share dynamically is our embedding functionality. So same thing with those viewing modes, you can actually toggle to your preference, but we strongly recommend this if you use something like a SharePoint or a Notion and you kind of want something to pop right out at the end user. I'll show you what this looks like, but essentially to do it, you would copy this embed code. And as long as the platform takes iframes and is iframe compatible, you'll be able to embed. If you do run into any issues doing this, feel free to email our email at success@scribehow.com. But to share what this looks like in an environment, we're huge Notion users at Scribe, but again, this is relevant regardless because this is what an embedded Scribe looks like. So just a quick run you through these different viewing modes. As you can see, it pops right out at you, and it's a little bit more engaging and interactive. So as you can see, this is our slides functionality, as well as our default scroll. And then for that movie mode video functionality, I'll show you what this looks like.
This guide will show you how to find your LinkedIn username. Go to this link. Click the Me dropdown. Click View Profile.
So hopefully that gives you a good overview of what this can look like, as well as how you can kind of change up your content depending on your need, or you can tailor it depending on your audience a little bit more. We do get the question, what if the video is a little bit too fast or too slow? The nice thing I want to point out is the end user can actually go in and adjust that playback speed as needed. So that is something we can do to cater to different audiences, and just want to shout that out because both of the link sharing as well as the embedding allows you to automatically roll out any updates, which then over the course of time gives you that peace of mind knowing everyone's following the most up-to-date version of your documentation, which is really nice. And I do want to shout out if there are any questions that do come up regarding the embedding or all of these features that we're going over today, there's this lovely area in our Scribe dashboard, and I can click into the Help Center on this bottom left-hand side, and I can search up things like embed, and I'll get direct resources there. So we have one specific to platforms, as well as going over what is embedding, how to do the different viewing modes, and even you can get more specific to what you utilize. So we have one specific to SharePoint as well. But I'll go ahead and drop in the Help Center in the chat as well, but I'll pass it off to Maria.
Awesome. Thanks, Allison, for showcasing from a creator standpoint what can give you the right answers right on time. And so now I'm going to go ahead and showcase from the viewer's point of view what that viewer can be doing to kind of have that same accessibility here. And so if that viewer would like to go to a specific scribe, and say this is a very complex process online, or you're trying to onboard someone into a specific website or platform. If Scribe is in your tech stack and you're looking to do that, this might be the specific scribe that you're looking at here. Say that I want extra hand-holding as a viewer to go through this new website that I'm just now interfacing with. What I can do is go directly to that scribe, click this arrow right here that pops up as you hover over a specific step, and it'll essentially take me straight to that website. What I just clicked on right now is called our Guide Me feature. Now, our Guide Me feature is only accessible to those with licenses, whether it's a creator license or a viewer's license. They would need to be within your Scribe workspace. And so if you are on our lower tier plans and don't have access to viewers' licenses, and you would be interested in looking further into that so they have access to things like Guide Me, let us know. Type interested in the chat and we'll send you more information your way. But as you can see, as I clicked on that arrow button right there, what it does is takes me straight to that page where my scribe starts out. Once it does that, it kind of goes and overlays a specific click target on where that click target is supposed to go. So I'm supposed to click here, supposed to click to settings. And as you can see, it just takes me step by step across the different steps within this process. So I'm able to really see firsthand what that looks like. Again, this is really perfect for those incredibly complex processes, and this just allows that user to be onboarded that much faster. Any questions regarding Guide Me, any initial reactions? This is definitely something in Scribe that is incredibly useful and is probably one of my favorite parts. Awesome. The second thing I wanted to showcase is another in-context learning tool that those viewers' licenses or creators would have access to, and that is called our Sidekick. If you're going through the same process of, maybe you want to learn how to do something specific on Salesforce, or you were using Teams in one organization and now you're somewhere new and they're using Zoom and you have no idea how to do, a lot of things like how to create an account. If you are curious in how to do that, you could go ahead and click the internet browser extension for Scribe, and I have it pinned up right here for easy access. And you can type that question that you have in this little bar right here. This is called our Sidekick. Before you do that though, if you scroll down, as you can see, a lot of these different scribes pop up specific to that website. And so I have a couple of scribes here of how to change your company name, a specific Guide Me on Zoom, etc. But if I wanted to change my profile photo, for example, I can type, how do I change my profile photo? So if I scroll down, I can see all of those different results here. If I wanted to say, how do I create an account on Zoom? That will also pop up right here. And I'm able to see all of the different scribes that my team has created. So if I go back here and say that, I actually wanted to look at that, how to change your Zoom company name, I can click into it. And what it does, it pulls up a scribe on the right-hand side of my screen, and I can go through that same exact process. Similarly, if I wanted to use Guide Me on this specific feature, once you actually utilize that Sidekick feature, that Guide Me will show up here on the on the upper right-hand side, which is also really great. Say that you are, kind of sharing this step-by-step instruction across your organization that spans across continents. And maybe you're looking at, individuals who want to read this in German, in Dutch, whatever, you can go ahead and click that translate button. And what it will do is it'll pop up a couple of options here to translate. So if I wanted to translate that in German, I can go ahead and do that. And as you can see, for the end user's point of view, I have easy access to whatever is easiest for me to read. Again, this is available in our higher tiers, and so if translation is something that's interesting to you, please go ahead and comment interested, and we'll be sure to send in additional information. Awesome. As I'm going through all of these different features, if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them up in the chat, in the Q&A function, and Meg and Allison are here to help answer those, or I can answer them live as well. The last thing I'll be showcasing is our Enterprise API feature. This one is available again on our higher tiers, but this is perfect if your organization or team has an existing chatbot that you would like to integrate with Scribe. So say I am on this Enterprise API and I'm wondering, okay, how do I set up SSO? Maybe you're new on Scribe or you want additional kind of security here. I'm gonna click how do I set up SSO. I'm gonna enter in, and what it does is it kind of looks up these different documents within my specific workspace, and it shows up a couple of things of how you can set up SSO. And so as you can see, we have a large repository here, and it tells me everything from that author name to what type of thing this is, whether it's a page or a scribe, when it was created, and when it was last updated. This is really great for creators who want to make sure that they have the most up-to-date document and that it's from a specific creator that they know and trust. I'm going to go ahead and click one of these, setting up SSO for Enterprise Superorgs. That sounds perfect. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and as you can see, it takes me straight to that page that I would need. Awesome. Any questions regarding that Enterprise API feature? This is super easy to use, and I think that this is a great way to increase accessibility across your organization, especially if you have a large repository of scribes and you find it difficult to keep up with some of them. This is a super easy way to kind of find everything you need. Amazing. Well, in terms of the demo, that is all we had to share for today, but I wanted to go ahead and share a couple other things. The first thing here is our announcement for a new product within Scribe. So if you see our Zoom backgrounds, this is kind of the same thing here. We are launching a new product on November 12th. We're super excited. If you were curious about that improved workflows with AI that Allison just demoed, that's kind of a little bit of a teaser of what we'll be showcasing, which is Scribe Optimize. Now, this will allow you to really make sure that you're doing the most efficient work, that you have the best ROI that you can have across your different platforms and within your tech stack. And so if you're interested in signing up, go ahead and do that. It will be at scribe.com/new. We'll also send you this link after this webinar as a follow-up. Cool. And last but not least, we have a couple of other things on our schedule here. So right now we are on October 29th, but we also have other things rolling out. We have Simplify Your Next Rollout on November 6th. We have that special release on November 12th, which I just showed. And then on November 19th, we have What's New with Scribe. And so again, I sent out that link to register for future webinars. If you're interested in any of all of these, we're excited to see you all, answer questions, and kind of give some thoughts. Cool. We have a couple more minutes here, so if you guys have any other questions, we're happy to help answer. But if not, we're also happy to answer them via email at success@scribehow.com. We're happy to answer any questions after this webinar as you guys start kind of tinkering and trialing a lot of the recommendations that we just shared. And I think Meg just sent over that email address there. Thank you, Meg. Amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for joining and for coming. Yes, you will get access to a recording of the session. We also have the Enterprise Academy, which is a YouTube playlist that has a repository of our previous recordings as well. And so if you'd like access to any of that, we'll also send that after this call. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and hopefully we'll see you all soon. Bye all.
Thank you. Bye.